All right, well, a Pittsburgh reverend is now suing police for using a taser on him in a hospital emergency room. Reverend Earl Baldwin had been grieving over the body of his stepson, Malik Grissom, when police stepped in. In June of 2012, the 23-year-old was shot in the East Carnegie neighborhood of Pittsburgh while trying to break up a street fight. He was then taken to the hospital where the altercation between Baldwin and police officers ensued. Now, hospital officials have insisted that Baldwin was interfering with efforts to revive Grissom, but the family says that's simply not true, and they've now filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the police department. To get their side of the story, earlier I was joined by Reverend Earl Baldwin, his wife Tori Baldwin, and the family's attorney in this case, Joel Sansone. I first asked the Reverend to talk about what happened that day in the emergency room.
Me and my wife got a phone call that our son had been violently injured and go to the hospital. We went to Allegheny General Hospital, and we were told that he wasn't there. We went to Mercy Hospital. My wife got out the car, she went in, she checked in, and they told her that he wasn't there. She came back out, got in the car, we went back over towards General Hospital, Allegheny General Hospital, received a phone call from my other son who said, come back to Mercy, they're taking him to Mercy. We went back to Mercy, we finally got up in there. We walked in the room, walked in the hospital room, walked in the entrance, an emergency room entrance. They checked us in, gave us name tags, asked us who we were. Said the mother and the father, and they asked us to get one more person. We did that, my niece. They took us in the back, informed us that Malik didn't make it. And he didn't make it. And so, my wife walked out the front door. He took me to another door, me and my niece. Went in there and seen Malik laying there on the table, his sheet up to his chest. And I walked in there, I started crying, and crying out to my God. And I recalled this, our officer just coming in there with me. I went around to the top of his head and I started talking to him, praying with him, and telling him some things that I felt like he needed to hear at the moment. And before I just realized there was a lot of people pulling on me. And I asked him, give me a minute, let me say what I need to say to him. That's it. Just let me say what I need to say.
It sounds truly, truly horrific, and I can't imagine what it would be like as a parent. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for the technical difficulty here. But Joel, I want to bring you in. As I understand it, the hospital has responded to the lawsuit. They have said clearly this was a stressful situation and a tragic loss for the family. However, allegations about the circumstances are inaccurate. They allege that you were actually in the way of reviving your son. So I don't know if, Joel, you can respond. I know that.
Yeah, I surely can.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can. The beauty of knowing the truth in this case is that it's on videotape. The hospital's videotape system captured the entire situation. At the time of the incident, and at the time that we filed the lawsuit, which was several months ago, the hospital took the position that Earl Baldwin was interfering with efforts to revive the child. But the videotape shows clearly that he was on a gurney. He lay there, and he had passed. In fact, once Reverend Baldwin was pulled violently from the side of this child, after the police officer arrived there, he pulled his taser and tased my client. When he tased my client, the hospital personnel shoved the gurney out of the way so they could handcuff my client and drag him out. And then the videotape shows a nurse coming and putting a sheet over the child's head and nobody doing anything. There was no effort to revive any. The child was dead when those parents got there.
And Tori, I hope that you can hear me. Over the last 2 years, I wanted you to talk about what kind of response you've gotten from the police department. And do you know if the officer in this incident has been reprimanded in any way?
Absolutely not. They have not reached out to us. I do know that the police officer was, they told my husband when the review board, they said that they had found him to be, his job description, he was doing his job. And there was nothing that would be done, and she was dismissing the case. Mm-hmm. My husband came and told me, so I called her, I told her, we're going to reverse roles. I'm going to be you and you're going to be me. I gave you a call telling you that after me sitting down and watching everything that needs to be watched, then I'm going to release your case. I told her, are you all right with that? Because if you are, then I am. And I hung up the phone on her and never said nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Now, Joel, I want to bring you in again because this kind of force, this kind of interaction we see in this case here is not an isolated incident, and it's not anything new for this community in Pittsburgh. You've been trying cases like this for quite a while. How would you describe police-community relations right now in the community?
We have a new mayor in Pittsburgh, relatively new, and a brand new police chief. And the promise has been from those individuals that we're going to clean up the racial violence within the police department, and we're going to improve community relations. And frankly, the department, the mayor, and presumably the new chief have been in possession of facts regarding Reverend Baldwin's case, regarding several other cases, some of which I've filed, but others of which have been brought by others. Nothing has been done, as far as we know, to move race relations forward, to punish those police officers who think that they can bring their racial bias into the streets of Pittsburgh and visit that justice on the black community here. And I think, frankly, matters are getting worse, even though the pledge from the mayor and the pledge from the new police chief is that they're going to get better.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, both to the Reverend and to Tori, I want to ask you what you're looking for at this particular juncture. What would accountability look like to you?
Well, let me say this much. This isn't a backlash against the police. This ain't got nothing to do with the whole police. This is about individualism. This is about accountability. This is about treating people like you would want yourself to be treated. In this video, you can see my name tag. I was where I was supposed to be. Ain't broke no laws. Don't do that. Folks took what I needed the most. Me and that boy had a rocky relationship that began in the beginning, but we begin to heal, we begin to bond, we begin to do some things that would solidify my family. There were some things I needed and I had to say to him, and they took that away from me. I didn't ask for much from them at all. The blatant disrespect that they showed me, it continued afterwards. I'm still getting phone calls asking for me to pay the emergency room medical bill, because they gave me a medical bill when they shot me for that taser. I wouldn't do that to nobody. That was my child. That was my wife's firstborn. And I tried to do what I had to do as a man, as a husband, as a reverend, to try to stand in the gap and do the right thing. That's all.
Well, I really do appreciate you guys coming on and sharing this story. I can see that it's still difficult for you to even recount these memories 2 years later. Truly appreciate it, and we will follow up with you to see what happens with this case. The Baldwin family, along with attorney Joel Sansone, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.